Welcome to fixing my biggest issue with ControlAddIns with a hack. Hey, I'm Eric, and I have a problem with ControlAddIns, and it's the lack of ability to fill out the screen real estate that I think there is, and the ControlAddIn has a tendency to not use up the space, depending on what other controls are on the page and so on. So I thought, hey, let's see if we can fix this with a hack. But let's actually let's see what I'm talking about. Here is a small app I've created. So we have a page, and in this case we have a grid. So that will give us two columns, and I got a user control and a repeater. So the page is a list page, and the add-in I have created is super small. So let's just actually do something here in the startup. So we can say var ControlAddIn equal document dot get element by ID, and we want the div called ControlAddIn. Then let's add something to ControlAddIn.inner HTML, and let's just add some HTML here. So we'll do a div style. What are we gonna do? We're gonna do a height 100%, and then let's do a width another 100%. How about that? And then let's do a background color. How about the color coral in these? So that, and then we need to make sure that we do div, something like that. This should at least give us a background color. So, and we might want to, because I played around with this just before I started the video. So let's get rid of requested height here. So I will deploy this thing, and hopefully that will give us something that is a color of some sort. Or maybe I've messed up my easy typed. I did. I think I need not a double quote here. Let's see if this is better. There we go. That is looking interesting. So you can see that the color here, I told that to be, take out all the available space, 100%. And I have told this to stretch, and we clearly got a horizontal stretch because it took up all the all the space. And if we change this into a list, we can see that this one will take more space than that one. So that is my problem. And then what we could do, and I think that was what I did here, that we can add a requested height and say, oh, let's go for 600. How about that? That's a good number. So we get 600, but that's kind of still problematic, right? Because now we get a scroll bar, and if we're over 600, then it's just still in the wrong spot. So what I thought we could do, and let's see. I'll see if I will open the dev tool, the browser dev tool. Let's see if we can make this bigger somehow. I don't think we need the lower part right now. So let's make this as, then I'll take the inspector. You see, this one clearly has a size of 600 in height, which was what we requested, but not really what we want because we want stretch. But if we select this one, we can see here that the div is clearly here. Let me make this a tiny bit wider. So I want to be able to, I think, yeah, perfect. So our div is here. That is sitting in the other div, the ControlAddIn, the one we requested, and we added inner HTML into. That's also height 100 and 100. That sits in a body segment, height 100, 100. That sits into the HTMLs section, height 100, 100. That sits into the iframe. And now the iframe says, what do we have here? We have minimum height 600, a height 100%, because that's sitting into a div. That's also something. And we see this is in a div, in a div, in a div. Let's go up here. So all these are still only 600. This one is bigger, but this class somehow ends up being 600. But this one is clearly, you can see in the browser, we can see that it takes up all the space. So what if we could get the height from this one and apply to that one? So we see there are multiple things here. So there's the one called ms nav layout content, a class. There's a div called by, and you know, there's let's see if there's anything else that's useful. I'm not sure. Okay, so let's just go for this one. And so what we could do, if we go back to our thing here, what we could do is that we could do height indicator. Let's call it that. So we need to find like this one, for instance. So the way we do that is that we start at the window, and then in this case the window is the iframe. So now we're traversing the DOM of the page. Then we go to parent because we want to get out of our iframe into the parent page. So now we're on the parent page and we can find the document here. And now we're able to do a query. What it's called? It's called query selector. And this syntax is kind of weird, but we want a div. And the div that we want needs to have a class that is, well, I think this is the equal. The class that has, and then we need to have quotes. So you see, strings in JavaScript can be both single quote and double quoted, or you can also do the backwards thing, accent, if you want. But because we want quotes inside a string, so I use single quotes on the outside, so I can use double quotes inside. So I think let's go back and say this was ms-nav-layout-content. So we'll do ms-nav-layout-content. So let's see if height indicator is not null. Then let's just put it on the console. So let's deploy this thing and see if we have something we can use. So I open up the console, and we need to see the console and we got ms-nav-layout-content, which is too much. You see so the one we actually got was too much. So maybe we should see if we can find another one. So how about control add-in form? That's probably a good one. Let's control-add-in-form. Let's try that one. See if that's better. So let's go up here. Control-add-in-form. Was that what it? Control-add-in-form. Okay, we can even go here and then say height, or comma height indicator, comma height, dot height, sorry, comma dot comma. Let's see what we get. We open up this guy. So now we actually get the right one, but it says undefined. And I know why it says undefined. So I think we got the right control here. This is good. This is good. But the reason this one height is a input property is not telling us the actual height. The actual height is called offset, and I think there's two F's and then capital H, offset height. So let's try that and see how that goes. 1156. I think if this is 600, then this is almost the double size of 600. So 1156 is probably pretty close. I'll take that. Let me just close up all these tabs. Okay. So what do we do there? So now we know this is the height that we want our thing to be. But what is our thing? Well, our thing is actually the iframe. So going back to what we did up here, we said window.parent.document. So we need to find the element of the iframe. But there's actually a shortcut there, because we can do window and then there's a property called frame element, which is the iframe element of the parent page or window. So we can do window.frameElement dot, and I guess we just have to do style dot height equal, how about height indicator? Okay, let's see if that works. It didn't. But let's have let's see. So we are messing with this guy, and what's happening is that, you see, this says 100%, but in reality we just assigned an integer, so that will never work, because an integer does not have a unit. So what we need to do here is basically take this guy and say to string, and then let's add some pixels behind it. This is the weirdness of JavaScript. If you only use to AL, then in JavaScript types are very dynamic. So you can assign a number or a string, or it really doesn't care. But we're still short. Let's go inspect our friend. Where's the iframe? The iframe is here. Let's see, maybe we need to get rid of, let's see why this is not working. I would suspect this to be, hang on, what did I just do here? Get elements, wow, I didn't see that. Let's do this, try with style. Ha! and you are yelling at the screen, I get that, okay. Do you think it'll work? Let's see. Let's try. This is exciting. Hey, this is pretty good. So now we have the entire height of things using the entire height. But okay, so let's. I think now the problem is that if we still get the scroll bar if we change the size of the page, because now it's fixed into that height. But I think we can do something about that. So how about? Well, first of all, let's actually get rid of this thing again, because requested height, for some reason, right? We saw that requested heights becomes, where's the iframe? Requested height becomes minimum height, which makes no sense. But now we got the right height in here. But so what if we go back to this guy and then we say window. So if we are resizing, we want to subscribe to the add event listener, and we want to add an event listener for the event called resize, and we'll just create a function here, something like this, and then we go. I think we need to add a parameter to this one, say true, and in here, I guess we just take this line of code, say bingo, because the height indicator is still the same thing, it just changed size. So let's see if that works. Let's see if that works. Come on, BC. So now we are actually in a smaller window. Aha! You see, what we want to keep our eye on is the lower, the bottom margin. See that? Ha! So this is pretty good. This is pretty good. I think we're done. Let's actually just review what we did. And we can get rid of this guy. And we can get rid of that guy. So we are on. I can get rid of this thing also. So now we're on 10 lines with a single thingy. But in reality, you know, the hack is this. Those 7 lines. And what we did was that we added a ControlAddIn, horizontal stretch, vertical stretch, which works fine in a case where the add-in is like the only thing on a page. But as soon as you're part of a page with anything else, we get what we saw at the beginning. But then we go to see, do we have, in this case, I found a div with a class called ControlAddInForm that seems to have the right height. So of all of this, line 5 is perhaps the most important line, because this one is the one to make sure that your code doesn't break if Microsoft, because this thing is an implementation detail from Microsoft. They have never promised that this won't change in the next minor hot fix they do. So this can stop working at any time. And if this stops working, you gotta have a fallback, and the fallback is saying that, hey, if we don't find that we were looking for, we'll just not do anything, and then we're back to whatever default size the ControlAddIn might have. But if we do find it, then we grab the offset height, convert that to a px, because that's how you communicate pixels into the style, and we add it to the style of the iframe, which we find by looking at the window we're in and then asking for the frame element to find the iframe element of the owning window. And to make sure that if our host window is resized, we add a event listener to resize, and then we basically do the same. And because we declared this one as a global variable in JavaScript, it still works inside the function. You could argue that perhaps you want to find it again in here, but it's JavaScript, so yeah, your mileage may vary, but no, this works pretty well. So this might just come to the next version of the toolbox, where I got two controllers in next to each other, and they're fixed in height, because this will actually solve that little issue. So maybe check out the toolbox in the near future if you see if this makes it into an app on AppSource. Anyway, this has annoyed me for so long that ControlAddIns never really took up the place they were given. As soon as you mix them in with other controls, it might be a Microsoft layout rendering decision, it might be a layout rendering bug, I have no idea, but this is my fix. Anyway, thanks for watching. Check out this video if you want to see other hacks with AL code. Check it out, it's a good one. See you there.